Cletus McFarland pulled up to Travis Pastrana's property with one mission locked in, and it's safe to say his health insurance wasn't exactly prepared for what came next. The crew arrived at Pastrana straight off their Indiana event, and the only goal they had was leaving the same way they showed up. No broken arms, no emergency rooms, no goodbye speeches. Cletus kicked things off with his signature energy, announcing they were back for another stop on the Month of Freedom tour. The agenda for the day? Learn how to backflip a dirt bike and somehow walk away from it. Simple stuff. He even cracked that his health insurance premium tripled the moment he set foot on the property. And honestly, that's not much of an exaggeration. Pastrana is essentially a stunt rider's paradise dropped in the middle of nowhere. Every surface, every hill, every corner of the place has been turned into some kind of launch point. Hubert had recently gone through the Can-Am track and made some significant modifications with everyone's survival in mind. The Corvette jump had previously been a much more terrifying distance, the type of jump where one miscalculation put you on a stretcher. They shortened it to 110 feet, smoothed out the profile, and removed the berm at the far end that used to send overshooting riders into a very bad situation. Still sketchy, just slightly less likely to end someone's career. Before any of the action started, Cletus had a small ceremony to take care of. He handed Travis a single Daytona dollar. $1. That payment was for their Daytona partnership, where Travis qualified strong up front and then got sideways and wrecked before the race really got going. Cletus kept the recap short and sweet. Travis also brought up a recent moment on track where he nearly collected Cletus. Cletus wasn't too bothered about it, just described it as a bump-and-run situation and moved on. From there, the group made their way inside and came face-to-face with the actual motorcycle Travis rode to land the world's first double backflip. The room went quiet. One guy reached out and touched it like it was a museum piece. Cletus said it perfectly. Spending time around Travis is one thing, but standing next to that bike snaps you back to reality real fast. The guy is on another level, entirely. The waiver conversation also went down right there. Cletus made it clear that if anything ever happened to him while doing something with Travis, the blame stops with him alone. Travis had his own version. If anything ever happened to him while doing something with Cletus, that one's absolutely on Cletus. Both men accepted those terms without hesitation. Next on the tour was the giant slide. Travis grabbed his skateboard, climbed to the top, and dropped down without a second thought while the crew watched in complete silence. The structure stretches 128 feet, and once you're at the top, the only exit is straight down. Cletus put it plainly. Standing up there and actually committing to the drop is a whole different experience from watching someone else do it. A few of the guys jumped on the trampoline for a while. Some tried flips and tricks. One landing in particular came down sideways in a way that made everyone wince. Cletus couldn't believe someone had managed to make a soft trampoline look that punishing. Then came the moment the whole visit was built around. Backflips on 110cc dirt bikes. Travis laid out the two rules and only two rules: go straight and don't let go of the bars. Follow those and the day ends well. Ignore them and things get complicated fast. The early runs were messy. One rider came completely off the bike mid-rotation, arms out, going full Superman, while the motorcycle continued without him. Cletus couldn't figure out how you even lose the bars at that point in the rotation. Pluto stepped up and landed his first attempt clean on the very first try. No drama, no close calls, just a clean backflip. Cletus lost his mind. Travis kept feeding the group the same coaching point. The brain switches to slow motion under pressure and most riders bail out before they've even left the ramp. The key is trust. Stay on, hold the grip, let it happen. McNutt came through next and absolutely delivered. The rotation was so dialed that Travis told him the only adjustment needed was more speed, and it would be perfect. That immediately sparked a conversation between McNutt and Cletus about going side by side, a tandem backflip. Travis wasn't immediately sold on the idea, but the guys were already drawing up the formation in their heads. GH had a rougher path to the same result. First run came around to a decent spot, but he bailed at the last second in the worst possible way. Second run, he overcorrected forward and launched himself nearly 15 feet straight up into the air. On the third attempt, though, he came around clean and stuck it. The crowd erupted. Cletus joked that the camera operators weren't even ready to film the celebration because nobody expected it to happen that fast. Can-Am time came next. Sam, who Cletus repeatedly referred to as being about 80 years old, climbed in without any hesitation, and immediately sent the big jump like he'd done it 1,000 times. Cletus called him probably the best to ever do it and meant every word. Then Cletus took his own run and described the feeling of being airborne as something close to flying alongside bald eagles. Very literal, very American. Things got briefly dangerous when the crew came close to tagging Hubert on the next pass. Travis came through the trees behind one of the guys at full speed, and they were brushing branches at around 70 miles an hour. Cletus laughed it off in real time, then immediately acknowledged how close that actually was. Go-karts were next, and the jumps were no joke. The landings rattled everyone hard enough that Cletus started questioning whether he'd actually fit in his NASCAR seat anymore after compressing his spine a few times. Pit bikes followed, and Cletus said flat out it was the single most fun activity of the entire day. GH was riding so aggressively and with so much commitment that Cletus compared him to a rhinoceros on a bicycle and declared him the unofficial champion of the whole visit. The Viper pit got a few laps too before the day wrapped up. Everyone loaded out of Pastrana standing upright and in one piece. Backflips, done. 100-foot jump, done. Viper pit, done. 0 injuries. Cletus was genuinely proud of the scorecard. Travis immediately warned them that saying all of that out loud meant they needed to leave the property immediately before the universe corrected the situation. Back at home base, the beat-up project car was still somehow functioning. The transmission had been set up with an actual IV drip system to manage the fluid leak, which had slowed to about 3/4 of a quart. The rear end was reading 160 degrees, and someone floated the idea of hitting it with a garden hose. 2,000 miles already behind them with 8 days still ahead. Day 5 of Hard Park to Spark went about as badly as possible. The challenge: park a spark in a tiny space while entering at 60 miles an hour. First try, straight into Sam's garden. Second attempt, a burnout directly through the flower beds. Cletus admitted he would only do that level of destruction to someone he genuinely couldn't stand. Third run took out a garden gnome and a GoPro. Fourth was more of the same. The fifth and final attempt missed the mark by about a foot and ended in another burnout. Cletus offered to cover the rebuilding costs. The fountain somehow started working again, so at least something came out of it. James watched the whole sequence from the sideline, shook his head, and told everyone to forget the garden entirely. Just watching the burnout over the fence on the way out was worth it. Sam handled the whole situation like a pro and didn't say much about it. The episode closed with a phone call to Jeremy P. out of Ashland, Ohio, who had taken home a turbo in a giveaway. Jeremy said life was pretty calm outside of chasing around a 2-year-old. Cletus told him a 64 was on the way. Just use it as a paperweight until the right moment comes along.